a word application, and the second part is about the statement of teaching philosophy. This is the first workshop that we are going to facilitate. And when I say we, I mean RMIC Vietnam Learning and Teaching Team. We might have some other workshop coming soon, and they are going to the information from them yet, so I still put it as the empty thing here, but I'm sure we can look forward to something coming very soon. And we will have another workshop in the middle of July, and it's about all of the advice that we think we can give you before you start writing your application. And we are going also to look at the rubric a little bit to know what the expectations are for a teaching a word application. And again, before we move on, if you have any questions, please just feel free to put in the chat box, or you can also just have your mic on and ask me. And if I can answer right now, I will try my best. If not, I will get back to you later on. Yeah. So before we start, I just want to go through a little bit some key information about the teaching award. I'm not very sure if you have had some time to read the guideline. After the first information workshop that we did have in March, if you have already had some time to look at the guide, can I please have some emoji from you, like your thumbs up or anything? If you have not had time to look at them, it's more than fine. I just want to have some idea about like how much you have been exposed to the teaching award this year, the information I mean. It's so good. So if you haven't had time to look at this, and then I do really suggest you visiting our learning and teaching homepage. Sorry, I'm going to give you the link here in the chat box. You can visit our page and you can find all the information that you need about teaching a word. I just left the link in the chat box. And there is one important thing I want to go through. So it's you don't need to look at the details now, just something for us to get to know first before we move on. That is, we have three big categories for this year, and it's quite similar to last year actually. So we have the citation, the teaching excellence. I put them together because they are teaching focused, and the other one is the program and services, and I separate them a little bit here. So basically, we have three basic three categories. There are some differences between them, but I do not think it's important for us to look at the details for now. But let's say what type of category that you're going to apply for, you're going to submit some key things. For instance, the first one is the written statement document, and that is the part that we are going to focus on today. The second element is the written references, and then a statement of contribution if you belong to a team. So for the written statement, yeah, so now the thing I really want to invite you to do is I'm going to send you the link of a Padlet page. So I have just put in the chat box a link to a Padlet page, and it is going to be something we really need to move on. So can I please have you to click the link and go to the page? And I'm going to share with you what the page looks like very soon. I'm going to stop sharing and start sharing again very soon. I'm going to share my screen again. I hope that you can see my screen now. And as you can see on the screen here, yeah, let me know if you cannot access the page. But if you can access the page, it should be something looking like this. And for here, yeah, I have all the things that you need for the next activity. So can I please have you open the page first, the palette page first? And now I'm going to give the instruction. So here, we are going to look at, so what are the key components of a written statement? So whatever category that you're going to apply for, you're going to need to include certain elements in the application. And we are going to look at what they are now. We are going to use the teaching citation as an example. So why we use this one? Because basically, it is the application with it's not as long as other categories. For the teaching excellence and the program thing, you need a longer application. So it's going to take us some time if we look at an example of such application, and I don't want us to to spend too much time on that. So I'm trying to use the shortest application here, that is the teaching citation. Can you please spend some time to read the word guideline? It is on page 8 to 10, and also the rubric. The rubric is on page 8 and 10. And after reading the guideline and also the rubric, can you please just have a quick discussion with your team? I'm going to divide you into 4 groups, and you're going to have a discussion among each other, and then write down the components that you think we should include in a teaching award application in the palette page. Yeah. So I leave the instruction here. As you can see, for activity number 1, I also leave the guideline for the citation award here in the instruction part, and I have the section for 4 groups. So group 1, group 2, group 3, and group 4. I'm going to divide you into 4 groups. So after having a discussion, please just write down what you think can be the components of a written statement here. Yeah. So we are going to have about like 5 minutes for reading, 5 minutes for discussion, and for you to put things in the palette page. And in total, it's going to be a 10 minutes thing. Do you have any burning question for now? If not, then I'm going to invite you into the group to work together.
Hi, sorry that
Yes, yeah, sure, sure.
I came a bit
Sorry,
late.
no worries. Yeah.
I'm not sure where the award guideline or rubric is for me to read.
Yeah, sure. So I have just put in the chat box a link to the palette page. Can
Yes,
you
yes,
see that one? Yes,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
opened it already. Yes,
So you can see in the first column, the
yeah,
activity 1. Then I
yes.
have the instruction part. I have the guideline here that you can read. Is it all
Um,
good? The guideline here. And the rubric will be on page and 10 of this one. So let me go very quickly to that one to show you.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I see it now. Yeah, thank you, thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, okay.
So I leave it here. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I got it. Yeah.
no worries. Yeah. Anybody question for now? Is so good. Then I'm going to ask to invite you to work in 4 groups for this one. And when we have about 3 minutes, so that we should wrap up the thing, I'm going to give an announcement to all the groups just to make sure that we will be able to finish this on time. So, if you forget what the instruction is, please just refer to the first column here in the palette page for activity number 1. Can you join any of the group?
Sorry, say again.
Um,
Okay, John. Okay. Hello, hello.
Hey, hi.
Hello, how are
So
you?
we are, hi, doing fantastic. And you as well?
Yes, yes. Hello.
Hello, Justin.
Nice.
Hello,
Hey,
Pam.
this is for the local one, right? This is for RMIT Vietnam, right? Not the global, not the
Correct.
global,
Yes,
right? Okay, so I'm
yes.
exiting because I already
Oh,
gone through this before. Enjoy
okay.
yourself, guys. If you need help, let me know.
Oh, sure. Take care.
Okay, see you guys.
You bye.
Right. So I think just two of us.
Yeah, two of us. Yeah. So I think we are group 4 because it's room 4. It says.
Yeah.
Okay. Um.
So I'm opening the column. Sorry, which one? The page that she shared.
Yeah. Just 1 second. It's from page number 8 to 10.
Yeah. So basically, that's the rubric that for this
Mm.
whatever this whatever category that she said before. I forgot.
Yeah. This is for citations.
Yes. Okay. Great.
Teaching citations, and yeah, we need to concentrate on highly recommended column. I believe.
Say again.
I think. Did you have that open, the PDF?
Yes. Yes. I am. I am opening that.
Okay. So when you are in page number 8, just let me know.
Yes. I'm. Okay. I'm at the number 8 now.
Okay. So if we see it, the rubric, that there
Mm,
are 1, 2, 3, 4 criteria, and
mm,
there are levels of recommendations, right? So on the right hand side, we can see highly recommended.
mm,
So probably that's what we may have to concentrate on when it comes to evidences.
mm,
So the first criteria is positive impact on student learning, student engagement, or overall student experience of a period of no less than 2 years. Okay, so the evidences has to be continuous,
correct.
at least for 2 years, I believe. Okay, so for highly recommended, you say explicit connections are made between the initiated program practice. Claims are supported by multiple forms of evidences. Okay. So, hey, how to go to Padlet now? Oh, I have to close this.
I think you opened in a new tab. For example, me, I had to open two tabs. I can see the PDF and then the pilot at the same time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So yeah, I'm in the new pad now. Okay, so we are group 4. So components of a written statement.
Mm.
So what should we add?
So I'll give it a try. For example, this one we got to make the certain claims on what we have done will result in positive impact on student learning. So the first thing is we need to have some claim that we're doing something and have the positive impact on that on the student learning. Let me update. Do you see it's up here on your palette?
Yes. You have done it
Okay.
correct. Yeah. Claims on what we
Let me
have
try and
done.
add
Yeah.
another one. Maybe you can add another one. So this one, for example, I try to put. So I will add the second one, and then you can add the first one. How about that?
Yeah, sure. No worries.
Okay. So I think the first one looks like from the rubric I can say is basically asking us to provide evidence, and so we had to make some claims of what we are doing, and we demonstrate its impact.
Right.
But we have to also present the methodology how we evaluate it. Looks like mentioned here.
Yeah, well, every claim that we make, it has to be solid evidences. So probably that we can put it over there. So where can I add? Oh, on the top.
I think you can select the dot, and then you do edit. So I do
Yeah.
that.
What I did is I just clicked on the plus symbol, so it allows me to type something over there. So let me see whether it works or not. solid evidences of engagement and evidence of students' engagement and achievements. Okay, I just added something. Oh, it added as a. Okay. Oh, I can't see yours anymore. Did you delete
Oh,
it?
I just modified it, so it will.
Okay. Components of the written statement. Okay. So in the report, what we should add? We have 5 more minutes. Oh my God.
That's very fast.
Oh.
So the evidence, from what I see, is the evidence. We need to have the evidence. Okay, so it says something sustained impact on student learning. So something that has to last for 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years.
And can
And
add
maybe
one
we
more
can
here.
attach things from what's that? GTS, OSI,
Yep.
and comments from student. Quantitative comments from student survey. So let me update it. You can see that. Okay, let's move to the second one and we can revisit this. So the second
Sure.
one in the page 9, the first point is say something about, okay, so now recognition from college, from institution, and then from broader community. So in the last column, it say evidence from different stakeholders to support our claims. So could be some testimonial from college,
Yeah.
people who testimonials from.
So clear explanation and evidences of our work or our way of teaching impacted our colleagues in some way.
Yep.
Or yeah.
Okay. And the second point, it says something like this program can be adopted by other college, other people from different institution. This one will, might not be easy for everybody. So for example, so I would say 2A and the 2B is
Oh, I lost the browser. Okay,
example of how this.
You keep writing, and I'm also trying to write something so that we can
Please,
populate the
please,
data there. Yeah.
So I'm writing down the point 2. Maybe you can help me to point 3, the innovation, and then we can try to. So I'm talking about the point number 4. They talk about some of the scholarly literature. So I think this one we get to present some theory, whether we our practice or whether method rely on, or maybe sometimes something we done, but we have to link that with some relevant literatures.
Yeah. Oh, you're doing the 4th now. Okay, so I'm just writing for the 3rd one now. Justification.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a 4 major point.
Really shows immeasurable.
So if you close the form, add the root.
Okay. All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
I didn't write that. Are we group one?
No, we're group 3, right?
We are in the group 3, right?
Oh, we're very noisy. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. So I can see that you have put some of your notes here, and I don't really think it's that importantly which group has to be which one. Thank you for your contribution here. So let me share with you my screen again, and yeah. So this is the palette page that we have, and we can see some of your contribution here. I can see something like the teaching philosophy, the best practices used in our teaching, the evidence, and then references. Yes, the teaching approach philosophy, the reflection part, and yeah. So here we have something that is about how you organize and put all the pieces together. Clear explanation and evidence. Yeah. Of how stakeholder got benefited from the outcome of the teaching process. You have the testimonials from colleagues, examples on how the methods being adapted by others. Yeah, you have the scholarly literature to support what we do. Yeah, we have a justification why we do what we do, and also the evidence. Yeah, thanks a lot. It's great. So we can see here that sorry if you some of you, yeah, do you mind having your mic on? Yeah, thanks a lot. So I can see you have put here all some of the key elements that we must have in the teaching application. That's great. But how to put them together, that is a very important thing, right? That is the narrative. We also have here, as you can see on the second column, I'm planning to have another activity that is to have you to look at the example. You read it and you may want to change some of the things that you have put in this activity. But I realized from the chat that some of you are in other meetings. So I think maybe you can skip the activity for now. And you can, let's say, like go home and spend some time reading the sample. And it might give you a clearer idea about how you can organize your application. But let me give you some suggestion here. I'm going to skip this activity. And before giving you a suggestion about how you can narrate your story, I just want to say a little bit about this. So it's very important that each of us has a different story, our own story, a personal touch. That is a very important thing. So there is no single approach that you have to take when you write the application. Everything is just about the readability, like the narrative of your story, how engaging it is, and how compelling it is. That is the most important thing. Yeah, so don't be humble, but also don't overclaim. So for instance, if you claim that you have done something and that has resulted in improved learning of students, you really need to be able to show it the exact relationship between what you claim and actually the result of the student. It has to be a direct link. to make it compelling. And it is about you not just doing your job, it's more than that. It is about how you are excellent at your job. So that is something very important about teaching a word application here. And about the narrative, as I said, it's very important for us to have our own story. But to start, we do suggest one thing that you might want to look at first to help you a little bit with structuring and organizing your ideas. That is the application planner. For the application planner, you can find it. Let me send you the link. Sorry. I have it now. I have just left in the chat box the link to the application planner. The document that is included in the resource folder that we have on our Learning and Teaching Hub for the Teaching Award. So you can always refer to it during the process of developing your own application. And basically, it does have something here and like this. I just want to say the process here is iterative. So for instance, you can start by looking at like which category you think you might want to apply for. For instance, you want to apply for teaching citation. Is a teaching focus, for instance, and what criteria are you going to look at? For instance, you can write about how your teaching or your services, if you are a professional staff, for instance, has impacted student learning. So that is about how it has engaged the student, for instance, how it has engaged the people who use your service. So that is the criteria you want to focus. So you may want to start from saying about your context, like your teaching context, and also your philosophy behind your practices. So if you are an educator, then you want to say about your teaching philosophy. But if you are a professional staff, for instance, and you provide a service for students, you can say about the philosophy behind your service. I just can think of an example like when you provide service for students, for even the educators, you think how good or how important your service is not the most important thing, or it's not the thing that you should look at first. It can be about how accessible the service is, for instance. So that is your philosophy, and you said it so that we can understand the reason behind all of your practices. So that should come first. And the second thing you might want to think about is the challenges or the problems that you have in your own work that has driven you to have a certain initiative. So for instance, if you are an educator, if you teach and you realized students are not really engaged in the teaching, they basically just sit there passively, receive the information from you. They don't think that they must be active and responsible for their own learning. They ask questions and they expect you to give all the answer, for instance. So that is the problem that you can identify, you see in your teaching. Number 3, what is the evidence of the challenge or problem? Or maybe let me display it this way is easier. Yeah. So what is the evidence of challenge or problem? So it means like when we can identify a problem, we really need to provide the readers with some evidence so that they can see the problem is real. So it can be anything. For instance, if you see that the student are not engaged in the lesson, so you can have some let's say like the qualitative feedback from them saying, okay, I don't think engaged enough in the lesson because of this and that. So that kind of thing can become the evidence for the problem. You can show people that the problem, whatever it is that you are claiming, it is real. And step number 4. So after you can identify such problem, you are so sure that it is a real problem, you think about an initiative that you can do to address the problem. So it will be step number 4. What change did you introduce to respond to the challenge or the problem? And you say why you decided to make such a change. For instance, like I see that the level of engagement in my class is so low, students are so passive, and the thing I decided to do is not about introducing games, because I think it's just a very superficial level of engagement. I want more than that. So I want to do something about, let's say, like having them co-creating the knowledge with me. And the reason for this is because when I look at the theory of active learning, it is about having students as the people together with you create the knowledge, such kind of thing. So in step number 5, you can say about the reason why you do the thing that you do. And you can draw on from the literature to support you. And the next thing you might want to think about is you want to do some evaluation here, like to what extent the challenges or the problems addressed by your initiative. So you think like, okay, I can see that there is an improved in terms of student engagement. And you need to provide some evidence so that people can see the impact of the change. There are different sources for evidence that you can look at. Very often, we see that you want to include the GTS, so some quantitative data, or maybe the qualitative feedback from students, how happy they are with the course, for instance, also improved in terms of their grade in the course. So different thing, and they come from students, but they can also come from other sources. But before we look at other sources of evidence here, I want to look at step number 8. That is, how did you evaluate the change? Actually, step number 8 can come into any of the thing here. It doesn't have to be number 8. And I want to say about this a little bit because basically many applications were not very strong in terms of evaluation in the previous years that I did look at. So whatever you do, maybe it's not good from the beginning, right? So you need some iteration of it. You need to pilot it and you need to try it out. And when you try it out, you can collect evidence and see, okay, actually I need to change this and this and this. So maybe after making such changes, after trying it out, and then you can come up with some ideas to make it more perfect, to make it better. And that better version will be the final thing that you are doing currently, for instance. So it's about evaluating the change. You really need to see whether the change you make is working or not, so that you can see if you need to actually improve the thing or not. Yeah. So as I said, there are different sources of the evidence. It comes from step number 7, that is from the performance of the student or the feedback of students. In step number 9, it is about the adoption of others of your initiative. For instance, like if you can see that other courses, they see what you do, it is so good, and they adopt it. So it's another way for you to scale up or share your practice. And it's also a kind of evidence to show or demonstrate the excellence of what you do. Or another source of evidence that you can provide us, that is like if you have published anything related to your initiative or not, or if you shared it at any workshop or any conferences, such kind of thing, it can be a very strong evidence too. Yeah, and if you want to add anything here. So basically it is trying to tell your story so that it can be really compelling and comprehensive. So this is how to say, one of the approaches that we suggest you can take to narrate your story or to organize or structure your ideas, but it is not the only way you can do it. You can mix and them a little bit here and there, and it's very important for us to have some personal touch in the application. Yeah, so that is something so far. Do you have any burning question or anything that you want to share with us before we move on?
Yes, Phúc.
Yeah, sure.
What I mean is, like, I'm quite proud of the TPS blended learning effort, and it's got a huge impact to the university. But then it's not my single effort, right? It is the whole team applications, and I would love to. And I think it's good that they take this opportunity to recognize the contribution of the team. So can we have teaching excellent award for a team?
You have a teaching excellent award for a team. For teaching excellent, you can apply either as a team or an individual.
All right. So then I probably gonna see we can. I will talk to you more on how to do that for the team. Okay.
Sure. Yes.
And I would love to recognize the contribution of the team. Include Karen in there as well.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So for a team effort, you can also look at the program or the services award.
Yeah.
It can also be something to look at too. Yes.
Yeah. So I will
it's
talk
a
to you
big
more
scale
later.
thing.
Yeah,
sure,
it's a huge impact, so many people. So it's good that we can discuss more on that. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Thanks much, Anne.
No worries. So any other thing that you want us to discuss or to look at together now, please feel free to have your mic on and just share with us. Okay, if it's so good for us to move on, just give me some like a thumbs up or something, please. So I know that I can move on. Okay, so good. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you. So now, the second part. So we have a look at the key components of the teaching application. So there are different categories, but basically they are very similar in terms of the key components. And the second part that we are going to look at is about how to write a teaching philosophy. And if you are thinking about apply for a teaching fellowship, for instance, so this part can be also useful for you. So teaching philosophy basically is just about why you teach in the way you do, I think, to make it very simple. But when you say about why you teach in the way you do, we really need you to situate it in your discipline and also in your context a little bit. So, it shouldn't be like that, but let me just have them all. So this is a complete teaching philosophy thing. There are 5 different components. The 1 and 2 is about your conceptualization of teaching and learning, and it's about the belief. Then number 3 is about the goals for student, what you want student to be able to achieve. That is about the intention. And you have how you implement the teaching philosophy, and also what is your future plan. This is a complete teaching philosophy according to, I don't really know how to pronounce his name correctly, but let me try Kism something. Yeah, but in the context of the teaching award, we are just going to look at part 1 and 2. It means the conceptualization part. We are not going to look at the other part. Because basically, I think if all 5 parts here is quite similar to a complete teaching application, or quite similar to a complete fellowship application. So now we're just going to say about teaching philosophy by referring to number 1 and 2. It means how we conceptualize our teaching and learning. Yeah, this is a little bit long of an example, and I'm going to give you a little bit of time to read it. It's about what people think about teaching. Yeah, so I think I'm going to give you, let's say, like 1 or 2 minutes to read this one. And if you want to discuss about anything right after reading the example, just let me know. Yeah, so this is just an example of how you can write your teaching philosophy, but this can still be a little bit expanded by you telling about your journey that you have had so that you can have this or you have developed this teaching philosophy. And you can also add a little bit about the literature to see that how it support your teaching philosophy. So something, for instance, for me, I think teaching is not just about telling students what to do, but it's more important about teaching them so that they can know why they should do a thing in a certain way, for instance. And then you can say why you have such a philosophy, where does it come from? So such kind of thing can be can go into a teaching philosophy. I also want to share with you another example. Ah, is it here? Oh, I lost it. I think I have another. Here, sample 2. This is another way to write a teaching philosophy. It is to use a metaphor. I'm not very good at that, but I'm pretty sure many of you are really good at this one. And again, I'm going to give you, let's say, like 1 or 2 minutes so that you can read this one. And anything that you want to discuss for now, again, just let me know. Yeah. So using metaphor is also another approach that people often take when they write the teaching philosophy. And I know it might be a little bit difficult for some of us right now to articulate a teaching philosophy because, for instance, like we have been doing it so long that we even forget about actually thinking about so actually what is it, the philosophy of us here? What is it, the underlying of what we do? So I do suggest that you for the teaching philosophy, you can use 2 tools here. I think it can be quite good. That is the TPI inventory. So if you did take the induction with the learning and teaching, then I'm pretty sure that you had experienced doing the TPI inventory. So it gives you some idea about like what aspect of teaching is your prominent aspect. For instance, like if you are a person who really care about nurturing student, or the people who think that transmitting the knowledge to student is important, for instance. So we have that inventory for you to look at, to discover and also to understand better about your teaching. We have another thing that you might also want to look at is the theories of teaching and learning. In that one, you can see a number of metaphors that Foster used to describe different approaches of teaching. That one is included in the palette too, I think. Yeah, so if you look at the palette page here, you can see the link to the TPI inventory. Let's have a quick look at it and see what it is. So you have the 5 perspectives of teaching: the transmission, apprenticeship, developmental, nurturing, and social reform. And if you want to see like which of the dimensions here are your prominent one, you might want to take the TPI survey or quiz test, whatever it is. It's not going to take too much of time, but I think it's a good tool to help you understand better about your teaching. And another thing that is we have here, it is quite an old reading, but I think it's still very good. So it's say about how we can say about a teaching, whether you are a tour guide, when you are teachers or not, or whether you are a gardener, with the student being a garden for you to take care of and look after. So it's a very good metaphor that you might want to look at, and it might be helpful. I do include it here, and you can always look at it when you write about your teaching philosophy. Yeah, so that is it with that I want to share with you for today, and we still have some time, so I think I really want to invite you to think a little bit, let's say about what teaching means to you, and let's say like we spend let's say like 3 or 4 minutes to think about it a little bit, and then if I can then I have one of you to share that with us. I'm going to stop sharing a bit. Yeah. So if you have a pen there, for instance, and a notebook, just write down something. It might be a good starting point, so that we can start writing something for our application. You think what teaching means to you? And share with us a little bit about that in 3 minutes, let's say. Or if you want to spend this time looking at this article, I think it can be also good too, because it helps you understand about your teaching a little bit better, I think. Sure. No worries. Thanks, Michelle.
Hi, Phúc.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I read the material of personal theories of teaching.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find it is very interesting reading. I'm
That's great.
trying to
Yeah.
I'm trying to reflect my teaching with the theories here. Yeah,
Yep.
and I just want to share that I find my philosophy quite